Hi, in this video we'll be discussing the SSH gateway services provided by the Centrify Infrastructure Services. First, we need to understand what the environment is and also the goals. So we have an environment where we are mixing two public clouds, AWS and Azure, trying to emulate a use case in which an organization has systems on-premise, systems out in the cloud, but they want to be able to provide secure access over SSH and, if possible, other services. So the first goal that we need to make sure that we can accomplish is the goal of identity consolidation. This in Centrify is accomplished using Centrify connectors, and connectors provide proxy services to Active Directory, LDAP, and federated identity to other directories as well. Another goal that we need to accomplish is the goal for identity assurance, meaning that we can prove that the people accessing a system are who they are. And we can do this with multi-factor authentication and with policies. Without further ado, I have this environment and I'm accessing as an administrator, and notice that I have several systems. Many of them exist in AWS and many of them exist in Azure. My environment, I'm pretending that my on-premises infrastructure is AWS and that my cloud service is in Azure. So all I have is a CPS hosted version, not a tenant. I'm actually having that as if I was on-premise. And let's explore the experiences of different users. For example, I have two users in this demo environment. One that exists in the Centrify directory. So this could be a user that is a third-party vendor, right? And one that exists in Active Directory that represents an employee. So let's take a look at Lisa's experience. So I'm going to go ahead and try to log in as Lisa. And ultimately, I'm going to be challenged for multi-factor. So I'm accessing the portal, right? And I have an auth OTP code, and I could use another step-up method. So in here, all I need to do is enter the verification code 134903, and then the password. Notice that in this authentication profile, I'm challenging the user for MFA first and then for the password. This is better as a security policy. So if I switch to the admin portal, an important distinction, and this is very related to the least privilege principle, is that if you compare the experience with my administrator and with Lisa, not only the administrator has more functions, but also and systems, but also Lisa has a reduced experience. Now what we need to make sure is that both my user from a Centrify directory and Active Directory can access the SSH gateway, and they get the same experience in which they can actually authenticate regardless of what directory they're coming from, and that they get challenged for multi-factor to establish identity assurance. So I'm going to go ahead and just use PuTTY. I'm going to use the interactive mode. You can use basically a connection strings as well. So let's start with the Centrify directory user, admin. So here, notice that the user has two options, auth OTP or security questions. So I'm going to go ahead and pick auth OTP. And I have the code in front of me right here. So 414017. And the password. And now it's asking me for a host name. So depending on how I have things set up, right? I may have different host names here. So for example, I have a host name called Squid, right? And it's asking me for an account. If I have an account under the system, for example, I may have an account. In this case, I have an account called local admin. Provided that I have access, I can just type the name. And I will be basically securely proxied into that system through the jump box. Let's now look at the experience for our user Lisa. So if I duplicate the session, notice that Lisa is an Active Directory user, and notice she's getting the same challenge. I'm just going to make my life a little bit easy here. And He can put in the password. At this point, we have proven not only we can have different identity sources, but also that we can provide identity assurance using step-up methods or multi-factor authentication. In the next video, we're going to discuss how we can apply policy.